Alright, I think there's one way I can very quickly summarize this mod before I do anything else. Still going. Still going. It'll keep going as well. So yes, this particular mod review will be on Simple Weapons Plus. This is definitely my favourite weapon out of the mod. I could say right off the bat, never needs to reload. Very nice. But yes, this mod is a little similar to our last one we did on Armoured Simple Weapons, in that it's expanding on the sort of Simple Weapons style, should we say like place and go weaponry, in that it's a lot of weapons that you, well, sort of plonk down in one go and they're ready to go. I believe some of them could use simple. Some of them do use custom ammunition, but most of them are, well, like I say, just place them ones. So we'll get right onto it. The weapons in this mod are found under the Simple Weapons tab, as opposed to having their own. I haven't seen any overlap with tabs for other mods that can sometimes be a problem, but something to keep in mind. And we'll start with the machine gun ports. These are exactly what it sounds like. They are sort of World War II. They give me vibes of like a German tank. I don't know if that's 100% right. Is that the same? It's a larger grade. In that they're sort of hull-mounted machine guns for the most part. I believe they're all same sort of setup. Yep, you get various different materials that they can be made from, including a transparent one. So just mount one. I believe those are the same. Those are invisible ones again. And they come in two different sizes. The, 7.92 and a 16mm. I don't know why this isn't just 8mm. 8mm? Yeah, oh no, wait, yeah. No, that's less than a centimeter, isn't it? Yeah. They're very light grade machine guns. No sound, which is a little unusual. I don't know if that's a bug, but as you can see, as even the description says, they're a little feeble, but they can fit in lots of places. They're cheap, I believe. Yeah, 175, very cheap, reasonably tough. And you can also get the slightly larger 16mm forms, which you can't even see in the model. I appreciate that. So yes, very good decoration for your realistic builds, but perhaps not very powerful. Next up, we have the Hectors, which is it's like the little dummy dude, but carrying a gun. So any difference in those? Oh yeah, they've got a different rifle. Also a standing up version, and just it's got a rocket launcher. They actually turn a bit even as well when they fire. Very cute. Let's get some planes out, see if they can. How's your target practice, guys? I forgot the ship's main guns are still on. Guys. There we go. Yeah, as you can see, reasonably powerful. And if you want actual crew on your ship, which some people probably would, that's quite a cute way to do it. I kind of like the concept there. Nicknamed Hecate 3. I assume that's a reference to the Hecate sniper rifle, considering they're carrying one, although I wouldn't say that looks like it. Maybe that looks like a Hecate. Yeah, that looks kind of like one. Although, oh no, yeah, I think they have the box thing. Yeah, I think that might be one that he's carrying. Don't know that you'd want to fire one of those standing up, but you can. Next, we have the 3.7-inch gun. It kind of looks like it's supposed to be mounted on something, but it's not. I guess the idea is so you can make your own mounting for it. It's got quite a pivot on it, actually. I didn't realise it could turn that far. Another one that, as you saw, uses custom shells. Fires roughly every 2 seconds by the look of it. Fires every 3 seconds. Reasonably large shell. Not a main gun for any purpose. A heavy air gun, but you would load it full of large flat rounds and shoot with those. Next up, Coil Gun. Yeah, this is an interesting looking one. Does it require energy? Because real-world coil guns are magnetic guns. They're sort of rail guns, but they use a coil of wire rather than magnetic rails. Not that I can see. And looks like this is something similar. It looks to be firing pretty fast. The blue trail suggests these are armor-piercing rounds. Not tremendous damage on its own, but it's not a very big weapon, and it's not terrible by any means. We could certainly reasonably easily have a small battery of these. Wait, did I say it uses custom shells? If I did, disregard, it's using its own shells. Oh, now they're not firing. Oh, ship's run out of resources. I'm professional. This is definitely not the first time I'm doing this. Yes, I guess that would be the idea. They did a little bit more reasonable damage to those three. They are reasonably cheap at 700. So you could probably do worse, but not my favourite, I think, out of all of them. The Rapier, which is a small 25mm autocannon. Reloading. Oh, this does use custom shells. That's interesting. Very small gun to be using custom shells. I think that speaks for itself, doesn't it? Again, not hugely powerful. I'm not using very powerful shells, so obviously, you know, you could definitely load this thing with more lethal shells. I'm just using solid bullets, effectively, to test this. Got a fairly long burst. Good, what do you call it, reload time at 2 seconds. I think it could do reasonable damage if you built some shells that are optimized for it. Next up, the naval cannon section. We've got a few here. First of all, the Flamethrower. Yeah, remember in the review when I mentioned that fire was planned to be added to this game and we never got it? The fans sort of worked out a way around it. Yeah, what it's basically doing is just firing an extremely fast stream of shots. And yes, I suspect you would have issues with running out of shots if you use too many of these. By running out of shots, I mean the game does have a hard limit on how many shells you can launch at once. I believe it might be customizable now. But a whole bunch of these I could see very quickly burning through it. Now, the Flamethrower's range is not long. But as you can see, it actually does pretty good damage. If you can hit things. Yeah, of course, the downside is if you can hit things, because they're not tremendously high velocity either. But yeah, as you can see there, when it actually caught it, it kind of just cut through it. Plus, I've got to admit, oh no, we've melted his tail. To look at, I do like them. I should mention visually for these mods, they're kind of interesting looking. Some of them have that sort of, what do you call it, stock look that the previous mod had, with this sort of base game textures and everything. And some of them have this kind of interesting, slightly more sci-fi look. I don't know whether I like it on some of them. It feels fitting for the Coil Gun, I just don't know how much I like the style, but I like it on the Flamethrower. I think it looked good there. Next up, the twin 100mm cannon. Let's go that bit further back. Very conventional looking sort of ship's gun. Another one I could see being dual purpose quite easily. Fires custom shells. A reasonable fire rate, velocity, accuracy, etc. As you can also see, I believe these are balanced with the intention of being being quite strong, because they also use a significant amount of underdeck space, like a real gun would. Whereas so they take up a little bit more space than the other simple weapons, but you get pretty decent performance out of it. Next up, a different version of the triple 100. I was going to say something looks a little weird here. Although, I have just noticed that despite the fact it says triple 100, or twin 100, it is loading 350mm shells, so I have a feeling that description is not quite right. Ooh. It's got a firing delay on it. That's the thing real ships do to reduce the recoil from their salvos. fires every 7 seconds. That's not bad for a fairly chunky gun. Of what looks to be pretty decent damage and accuracy. Yeah, so I'd say description, very outdated. Firepower, pretty good on this one. I love that little detail of the recoil sort of compensation by firing one after another. Next up, it's the one you all know, because it's the one I opened the video with, the 57mm. This one does not have a reload time. You can load whatever shell will fit into it, and it will fire constantly. I believe the shells will sometimes have a slight effect on the fire rate. But yeah, it will just fire constantly, and it's great. I love that. Unsurprisingly, these make very nice little AA guns. So that you can just leave them to fire away forever. Alright, with that complete, we're now on to the Mallow. Mallow? Which is an 80mm gun. I like the sort of drum on the back. I don't know quite how that ammo feed works, but I do like it visually. Another one with its own shells. No firing arc? Or is it too far? This looks like the Mallow has no firing arc on it at all. Oh, elevation like a degree. Yeah, so we'll do a quick... trying to remember how you do this. It's been a little while since I played this game. Some objects. Here we go. Charge start. A Mallow. No, I don't think I want it pointing directly at my face, you know. Right. Ooh, another one with no sound. Reasonable fire rate. Looks like quite high velocity. But the lack of sound is really throwing me off. A gun this big looks like it ought to have... I am hearing sounds, but I think that's either their guns firing or our own laser defenses. Yeah, that's a little disappointing. It looks cool. I love the way the drum's rotating. It clearly is an ammo drum. And the recoil on the barrel. It looks nice. Just, yeah, lack of sound's a little weird. Anyway. Next up, Scrappy Cannons. These are an interesting bunch. If you've ever seen Advance Wars, kind of... I think it's this one specifically. Not that one. No, it's the triple. Kind of Mega Tank looking, almost. It kind of reminds me of. They're described as heavily armoured cannons that lob very large shots. But their reload performance is bad. I believe... Too long for the weapon. Really? Okay, let's try single 4. Let's just put a high explosive head on it. Oh, what's the... Actually, yeah, what I should also check is what's the shell length? Max shell length 1. Shell length 500. That should be fine then. No, it's not. Really? Oh, no. Okay, so it'll only load a 2-module shell. Ew. Ew, you don't typically want to be using 2-module shells in anything, really. I guess looks-wise it could be a good deep water guard cannon. However, it is a 500mm shell, so you could do worse. Well, that seems to be doing alright, though, for quite a slow fire rate. But then again, it's 500mm shells. You do need typically quite a big turret to do any sort of fire rate with those. Yeah, that's the Thresher. That's the smallest of the 3, I believe. Next up is the Triple Thresher, which is 3 of them. And apparently they are slightly better shells. Why does it keep insisting that I want to be shooting myself in the face? So there's a 500mm shells. I will die. I'm trying to make a review here. Jeez, guys. That rotation speed is not enviable, but then again, it's clearly designed for... I didn't fire there, right? You saw that, right? They just exploded. Right, let's try to shoot this one while it's close. Yeah, again, you don't want to be fighting it. You won't want to be fighting the lightning hoods with these guns, I'll say that much. Now, for the Onyx Watch, however, you could probably do worse than that. They're, again, not hugely powerful shells, particularly, at all. But these guns are probably rather, I'm guessing, rather on the cheap side for 8,500. Yeah, not so sure on these. Visually, I like the idea. Let's load the brawler. I don't know if I'm close enough to control it. Now, is this firing even bigger shells? What about anything else with building it? The current APS cannot go over 500mm. 10% bonus in shell quality. Ah, so does that mean they're more powerful? I think I need to stand a little closer. Oh god, how do I regain control? I'm trying to remember. Right, very slow to rotate. Ooh. Oof. It will, however, do that with a 1 meter long shell. That is not too bad. I will give it credit on that. So yeah, that's the what they called the Scrappy Cannons. Very unusual set. Next up, the 200mm cannon. This, I'm pretty sure, is designed to be mounted in a turret, or on the front of, say, a tank destroyer. I'm pretty sure the idea of this is to very quickly get a sort of battleship-style turret set up, perhaps in a body that doesn't have much room for it. As such, it has very little side-to-side, but reasonably good up and down. And yeah, not too bad a fire rate, I suppose, for 200mm shell. It probably could be better, but you're getting it out of a very small body, and it's got a decent thing of armor built into it. Grapeshot Cannon. I mean, look at this. That's just adorable. It's just full of scrap, and I believe it is literally, yeah, it's a little shotgun blast. It's literally, it'll go on your little Age of Sail ships, and you can just fill opponents full of random bits of shrapnel. Although, again, as with all the other cannons in the game, best used probably en masse in a broadside. Also seems to be another one that has the model bug, because I'm noticing the gears floating above it in the thing there. Last up, the heavy coil gun. I've realised what these remind me of. They look a bit Federation, a bit Star Trek. Something about the colour scheme. Another one that has its own type of weapons. Reasonable tracking speed. And by the looks of things, it's effectively a double coil gun. Is it larger shell size? I don't know. It is larger shells, so it's the exact same sort of idea. So, that is the Simple Weapons Plus mod. Would I recommend it? Yeah. Yeah, I think I would. It has some issues. As you saw, a few of the weapons are missing sound. A few of them have, like, broken models in the editor, but that seems to be fairly standard for FTL mods for what I've said so far. There's nothing particularly egregious. The models look nice. I think I like the stock-alike ones a bit more than the sort of sci-fi style ones. I don't know if you can recolor these, but considering you're, I think, stuck with, yeah, you're kind of stuck with one color scheme, which is a little bit of an issue. That's not so great. But they all seem to work perfectly fine. I like some of the small details, like the animations on some of the weapons, the recoil dampening. So yeah, Simple Weapons Plus, can recommend. And if you're still here, I will also mention that I have a new game coming out soon. Sel Quinta, the Six City Quest. It will be out soon on Steam. There'll be a link in the description once the store page is up, which it very nearly is. We're just waiting on Steam to finish reviewing. Sort of checking it's all good, which it should be. And as soon as that's up there, I'll be updating the description with that. Go check it out. You might like it if you like RPGs. Yeah, until next time.